Petworking is presented by Maya Strategy Group, a leading market research and strategy consulting firm, helping clients in the pet care and animal health industries navigate strategic challenges for almost 2 decades. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petworking. I'm Peter Kenseth, Vice President and Partner at Maya Strategy Group, and I'm here today with Jaime Paris, founder and CEO of PRONOVA, following up on our conversation from Pet Connect out in Los Angeles last December. And just take a minute to say our thoughts and prayers are with people of Los Angeles right now. It's hard to believe that, we were in Hollywood last month, 5 weeks ago, and we're seeing entire neighborhoods, homes destroyed, lives lost, pets displaced, shelters even more full than they were. Just want to take a minute to say our thoughts and prayers are with the people, pets in city of Los Angeles, and thinking of them right now. But it was sad to think about what's happening now. But we had a fantastic conference experience in Los Angeles at Pet Connect last month, and I was lucky enough to meet Jaime. And if you saw the brief clip that we recorded at the conference, PRONOVA is a at-home preventative diagnostic tool that allows you to monitor key biomarkers for your dog. And Jaime, I might slip up on that.
No problem.
Jaime developed this in conjunction with his dog Cora, and I'll let him kind of give the full backstory. But Jaime, again, congratulations. I think you have a fantastic device going to be launching later this year, end of Q2, I think you said. But thank you for joining us. Welcome to Petworking, and tell us a little bit about more about PRONOVA and how you came to develop this technology and what we can expect from it going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you very much for having me. I really do appreciate it. This is a great opportunity to talk about the amazing work the PRONOVA team's doing in kind of helping pet owners be more proactive and preventative about our pet's health, right? So you kind of asked where it all started. And I've been a dog owner my entire life. I'm originally from Spain. I've got 2 dogs back home in Spain. And then here in the US, I live in Boston with my dog Cora, who's a COVID puppy. So I've had dogs my entire life. I'm a person that doesn't want to go a single day without a dog by my side. And I bet a lot of your listeners, and I bet you as well, feel very, very similarly, really strongly about it. They're wonderful creatures, right? I've heard the saying before that dogs are the closest thing to angels that we have on earth. It's just, they are truly spectacular beings. And they've been with us for, I don't even know the number, right? 10,000 years or whatever it is. And we still guess as to what's going on with them. We still guess if there's something that like is putting them under risk. We can't communicate with them, right? They're our closest partners, they're family members. We all know the trends in the industry and how people relate to the animals and call them their children, their family members, people choosing to have dogs instead of kids. Like they're no longer just an animal that sleeps outside. Like Cora sleeps in my bed every single night, right? They are part of the family, and having to guess as to what might be going wrong or when is it going to go wrong is terrifying. It's, you lose sleep over it. You don't know if you need to go to the vet. How much is it going to cost you? Are you doing the right thing? Are you doing the right thing by your animal? And that's what we want to help with, right? We want to give pet owners the tools to check in on their companions, see what's going wrong, if anything, and then help you decide what to do about it. So we're not a diagnostic yet. We do have the capability of being diagnostic. Right now, we're health monitoring. So we check for symptoms, and then the vet is the person that's going to be doing the diagnostic. I'm a big believer that no one's ever going to replace the vet. There's always going to be an expert that needs to put their hands on the animal. But what are the things we can do at home to support our pets and support veterinarians even more? That's kind of what prompted PRONOVA.
Yeah. Did you have any, personal experience with Cora that prompted this, or was it just, what was the genesis of the idea? I mean, you talked, about you monitor CRP for inflammation, glucose for diabetes and metabolism, cortisol, ALT for liver function, proBNP for heart health, and urea for kidney function. So you're giving pet parents a lot of insight into critical biomarkers that can be predictive of potential health issues with your dog. And you can get it, as simply as swiping, your dog's saliva and putting it into, taking the chorus strip and putting it into the PRONOVA device. What, you know, Talk us through the genesis of the idea. Obviously, that there's this very well placed desire to kind of give people this baseline health data, give people a chance to check in on their pet's health, and we've talked a lot about preventive diagnostics on this show before. We had Dr. Ben Hantler from Heska, now Antec, on the show, and he mentioned, the importance of getting those regular screenings, and and the ability to catch things early so that conditions are more treatable. We've had Invoxia on, and we've talked about the benefits of smart collars and wearables that can provide this baseline health data, but they're monitoring things like heart rate and respiratory rate, and not to say none of that's important. I wear a smartwatch every day, and it could tip me off to, you know, you might be coming down with something because your heart rate variability was off while you're sleeping, and there's tons of value there, but um, I always feel good when I go and get my annual physical every year, and my doctor does a blood panel, and my numbers are normal. You're giving pet parents, dog parents, that capability to monitor those biomarkers on a daily basis, if you so choose, or weekly, or when did this idea hit you, and how long did it take you to get from conception to now you're looking at a launch in less than 6 months?
Absolutely. So officially, this all started during my master's program at Tufts University. I did a master's in innovation and management. My background is in mechanical engineering and computer science, but I did my master's in innovation and management. And through that master's, I was working with a team, and our task was find a problem that's worth solving, solve it, and start a company. And we were looking at the diabetes space, doing a ton of research there with some new sensors, trying to help people with foot ulcers. But my passion's always been animals, right? Like the first job I ever wanted was to be a vet. When I realized that I probably wasn't cut out for it, then I wanted to be a marine biologist. So I've always wanted to work with animals, but I ended up going into engineering because I'm good with my hands, I'm good with technology, and it would open up a lot of doors. But through my master's, we were working on these sensors, trying to do like foot ulcer detection for diabetic patients, and it wasn't for me. Startup life is very hard. There's a lot of work, a lot of sleepless nights. Irrespective of what you do, no matter what the startup is, it's going to be hard. So if you have the option to pick something you're passionate about, because then it'll be worth all the work. And I quickly moved away from the human space into the animal space with my team. Eventually, we went our separate ways, and I continued working on this, and it's 2.5 years. It'll be 3 years this summer, pretty much. Yeah, so we've been working on this for a long time. A lot of development went into it.
Awesome. Awesome. And so you're working on, diabetic monitoring in humans. You branch off and, you know, realize this opportunity to capitalize on your passion for working with animals. How did you decide on these six biomarkers? And is that going to be the full panel going forward, or do you see the opportunity to have Pronova expand into other at-home diagnostics?
Yeah, absolutely. So the biomarkers that we've picked have been under the guidance of our veterinary advisors, right? So we have veterinary advisors that they've told us, here are the really important biomarkers that we look at in blood work that give us a lot of information. Some of them are non-specific, like CRP is non-specific. It tells you there's inflammation, but doesn't tell you what's causing it. But CRP is a binary biomarker where if it's elevated, there's something that's like seriously wrong. So now it's the vet's job to like figure out what that is. Is it an infection? Is it something in the guts? Like what's going on that could be triggering it? So all the biomarkers that we picked were to try and give you as much information as possible, and then also work between them, right? So if we're looking at the liver, the kidney, and the heart, and one of them is triggered, but there's also high inflammation and high stress, that tells us like that helps us narrow down as to what could be the causing the problems. And in terms of the capabilities of the technology, we've designed the Cora strips, which is like these little mini panels. It's going to be hard to show, as a platform to build any sensor we want on it. So if the thing we want to look at uses antibodies or enzymes as a method of detection, we can build it on our sensors. So our Cora strips are designed to hold up to 10 individual biomarkers. We're launching with 6 as our first product, but we can expand to 10, and then we can create specific tests. So right now it's a mini panel, very comprehensive, as you mentioned: inflammation, stress, diabetes, the heart, the kidney, and the liver. And then the next 4 biomarkers, we can either double up on any of those 6 areas or add more. So as we grow and develop new products, we can start looking at more areas of the body and creating specialized tests. It's all modular and it all works together, so we have a ton of expansion opportunities.
Very cool. Now, so I mean, when you think about, you know, like you, I have, a tremendous passion for animals. Driven by Peony, who's asleep here on the floor behind me here. But earlier in my career, and one half, even a little more than half, my two business partners at Maya, they both focus almost exclusively on human healthcare. And so, we see these, in clinic, point of care diagnostic devices in healthcare, and they're really revolutionary. And, you see, the panels that, the in clinic point of care devices that do the best are the ones that have this ability to continue to add new panels and and test for new things. You're giving that capability to people at home. And you said earlier, and I think it's true, nothing's ever going to replace the veterinarian. But talk a little bit about, why didn't you? It seems to me that this could have been, an in clinic point of care rapid test. Why did you focus on the at home market versus going the veterinary route?
Yeah, absolutely. And we started with a veterinary route. When we started, we wanted to give veterinarians a new tool to not only help them, because the veterinary industry and as a profession needs a ton of support, overworked, they're completely undersupported, and there's a lot of good people out there trying to support them. And we wanted to create a tool that would focus on improving access to care. There's a lot of people with struggling getting to veterinarians if they live in rural areas or have mobility issues or something that just
Mhm.
stops them from going to the vet. And also spectrum of care. When you go to the vet, there is no low cost quick screener. Either you're doing the full blood work or you're doing nothing, right? So we wanted to help with access and spectrum of care. And when we started, we were working with our veterinary advisors. We were designing the technology for veterinarians, all the biomarkers and the science picked from veterinary papers. The technology that we use, very well established. It's not new technology. The chemistry is not new. Like, we're using things that have been properly established and researched, just applying it to animals. As you mentioned, a lot of technology being developed for humans. The challenge that we found was veterinarians react to what comes through the door, and normally the dog is coming into the vet, it's already pretty serious unless it's for annual checkup. So if people coming in with their pets, it's already very serious. What's happening before that that is allowing it to get so serious? So we started looking up further up the chain as to when are the problems starting and when are people reacting to them. And we found, myself included, is when your dog is sick, first of all, you don't know. You start looking for behavioral changes. Do they start eating less? Do they act weird? Do they not eat the bacon that you give them? That's happened with Cora a bunch of times. She won't eat, if she doesn't eat the bacon, something's wrong. So knowing when something's wrong is challenge number one. And then challenge number two is, what do you do? My dog threw up. Okay, how serious is it? Do I go to the vet now? Do I not? Telehealth is great. Calling your vet is awesome. but the anxiety that it causes you as a pet owner, like just watching your animal be in pain and not knowing how serious it is. Just before the podcast, you were mentioning that with us, we have all this technology, like the smartwatches that tells us and gives us information about our bodies, and then you also can feel your body. You can make a decision. Hey, my kidney's hurting. I think I should go to the doctor. With an animal, one, they're not going to tell you because they can't talk to us, unfortunately. And two, they're going to hide their symptoms instinctively for being pack animals. So by the time you see something, it's already pre-late stage and severe. So just that thought is terrifying and nerve-wracking. So we ended up focusing on pet owners first, and we will work with veterinarians, and the technology can be deployed in clinics. It's been designed to be able to be used anywhere. It's a palm-sized device that you just hold in your hand, and you can just swab. Takes 15 minutes. It's super easy to use and integrate. But we wanted to support pet owners first as almost the first line of defense to for the animal's health.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it makes total sense. And you raised a lot of really good points there that we could probably jump off on and do a whole episode, about veterinary burnout and staffing shortages.
Really,
We just did an episode with Modern Animal and Christy Long, their chief medical officer, and how they're trying to create a new care paradigm both for patients and for veterinarians to give them better
it's a
work-life
huge
balance,
problem that
better
they
working
needed.
conditions. Um, but you're right. There, on the flip side of that, and possibly because of staffing shortages and people leaving the profession, and you're seeing areas that don't have good access to veterinary care. So I think this could be a great solution for pet parents that don't have a veterinarian within an hour of their house. And in addition to the cost of going to the vet, they are also weighing, do I hop in the car and drive 1, 2, 3 hours to bring? There are parts of the country where you have these veterinary deserts. And so in addition to the cost of going to the vet, you are also looking at, the cost of your time. And, are you, going to spend 2 hours in the car, 4 hours in the
Yeah.
car, 6 hours in the car, to get your pet checked out? That's certainly a barrier and a deterrent. Um, and, you know, one thing, have you gotten any, in working with your veterinary advisors? I'm sure you've gone through, testing the specificity, the accuracy, the replicability, um, you know, and you mentioned earlier this isn't a true diagnostic yet. This is a screening device. But how should should vets interpret the findings that pet parents might give them from PRONOVA? And do you have any kind of portal where, like, you can test and it's on your phone and you can just kind of shoot the results off to your vet so that they can see them and have an idea of what might be wrong before a pet comes into the clinic?
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a lot there to unpack. So let me quickly explain what the product's like, right? So you have a handheld device. Imagine like a glucose meter, right? This is a device you keep at home. It uses AA batteries and you just have it on yourself and you use it every time you want to test your dog's health. Then what we do is on a subscription model, we'll ship you Cora strips directly to your home. So you get to pick how often you want to check in on your dog's health. Like how often do you want to talk to them, basically. And you can do as low as infrequently as once a quarter, and then you can go as often as you want. Weekly additional tests, like you decide how responsible and proactive you want to be, and we'll support you. The more responsible, the more proactive you want to be, the more discounts we give you so that you can afford all the tests and make sure you're giving your animal the best life possible. And then you swab your dog, takes 60 seconds to swab, you put it onto the sensor, takes 15 minutes to analyze, and the device sends the data to the app on your phone. And then the app interprets the results, tells you what the biomarker means, what it is, why it's important, your dog's results, all personalized to your dog, right? So we take into account your breed, your age, the weight, the gender, past medical history, everything that makes your dog unique. That's what we take into account because a Chihuahua and a Great Dane are not the same thing. So we want to make sure that any health insights we're giving you are what your dog needs, right? So what we call it is bioinformatic driven insights. So what's your dog's body telling you? And then we give you actionable steps from changing their diet to introducing a supplement to going to the vet sooner. What are the things you can do at home to protect your animal's life and health? And in terms of validation, we've done a ton of R&D in-house. We're now doing third-party validations where we're doing cross studies with other companies, and comparing ourselves to the gold standards or the technology that's used in lab. Um, the technology that we use to develop our sensors is the technology that you use at home. So the same device that you're going to use to analyze your dog's saliva is what is used in labs in research to create technology and develop sensors and tests. So it's we just miniaturized it and made it super easy for you to use at home. And by super easy, I mean it's still a complicated test. Like you're swabbing, you have to do it properly. It's a science kit. Like you're a scientist analyzing your dog's saliva and checking in on their health. And we're also collecting a ton of data because we want to publish papers to show the veterinary community that technology is legit. So we'll make everything public. We'll publish papers, both white papers and peer reviewed. It's just going to take a little bit of time to do it properly. And then in terms of how the veterinarian interprets the data, as I mentioned, it's the same biomarkers that come from serum, from blood. So when in the app, you'll be able to send a report to your vet or just show them when you go to the clinic. They'll see the biomarkers that they're used to and recognize. And then we either in the report or in the app will show them what the saliva to serum conversion is because it's not the same. So we'll translate the data to what veterinarians are used to, and it'll look exactly the same as doing a blood work panel.
In terms of accuracy versus a blood work panel, obviously I know that there's some element of human error in it, and that's one of the biggest things that clinicians, whether they're on the veterinary side or the human side, look at with at-home diagnostics is sample quality, and how well are you, how good of a scientist are you, I guess, for
Yeah,
lack of a better term, how
completely,
good of a
completely.
nurse.
Yeah.
um, but how would you, assuming your pet parents are following the instructions properly, they're taking good samples, what's the accuracy compared to blood work? Right? Is this something where you get a result that tells you to go to the vet? Is your vet going to want to take a blood sample to validate, or are you finding that vets are comfortable relying
Yeah.
on the sample that you're taking at home?
Yeah, so I think for now, vets should definitely do blood work and cross-check because a blood panel has a lot more information. If we tell you, hey, inflammation is highly elevated, there's something wrong, they should be doing a blood work panel to see what else is causing, because we don't cover everything, right? We cover the major biological functions, but there's a lot more there with blood work. Blood work will always be the best. It's a very, very good matrix as a sample, and it does require a lot of pre-processing and very expensive machines to analyze, but it gives you the I was gonna say the lifeblood, the life fluid of the body almost. It holds everything. So saliva will never be better than blood, but you can't do blood at home, not comfortably, not unless you want to, draw blood from your dog and have a $100,000 machine in your apartment. That's just never going to happen. So then your two options are saliva and urine. Urine, there's a lot of products out there, but it only looks at the kidney area. It doesn't give you everything that's going on in the body. So if you're not willing or don't want to send a sample to a lab and wait, multiple days to weeks, like those at-home testing kits, what can you use at home? And it's either urine or saliva. So we chose saliva. We actually started working with feces. The first time we started, we had smart poopy bags where we would put sensors inside the bag, and then you would pick up the poop and it would analyze the poop sample. But it was really hard to work with. It's a very dirty sample, and we had to add membranes in to filter the sample. It was too complicated, so we moved to the other end of the dog, and it's a lot easier. In
Yeah.
terms of the accuracy, like take our CRP sensor for inflammation, it's 96% accuracy, accurate, 94% sensitive for saliva, right? So this is looking at saliva as a medium and no pre-processing because you're not centrifuging the sample, you're not freezing it, you're not separating it. Like we're treating the raw sample, which is really hard to work with. So there's debris and there's oils in it that can mess with the sample. So what we want to make sure is that we're putting your dog into the right bucket. Are they healthy? Are they moderate? Or are they sick? And all these biomarkers allow us to do that. As we improve the accuracy and sensitivity, then we'll be able to claim the diagnostic key. But for now, we're just health monitoring because we're telling you you're good, something's wrong, or it's really wrong. The accuracy is superb. It's just does it hold up with the complexities of testing at home instead of having a super fancy lab analyzing the sample.
And that you mentioned, this is something that if you wanted to, you could do every day, or you could do a subscription for, four tests a year and do it quarterly. Talk to me about the model, the subscription model. What does it cost? Do you have to pay it? Are we talking razor blade that you get the device for free if you subscribe, or do you have to pay for the device up front? How talk to me a little bit about the economics there.
Yeah, so the device you'll have to buy up front is $120. We'll have a 2-year warranty on it, and it's compatible with future tests as well. So you don't have to worry about the device unless we upgrade it, and then we'll figure out how to handle that because I haven't figured that out yet. And then the Cora strips, you pick the subscription tier. So it's $40 a test if you're testing once a quarter, adding discounts the more often you're testing. And then you can add additional tests. As the frequency you pick, we're seeing the vast majority of dog owners want to be testing at least once a month with the option to be testing more often. I don't think you should be testing once a day. Like I would love for you to buy my test every single day. I don't think you need to. It's just you need to be checking in on your dog's health, right? Like we mentioned the yearly visits, but that's what we do as humans. Dogs live 7 years faster, right? There's 1 human year to 7 dog years. So if we're checking our health once a year, you should be checking your dog's health 7 times a year, is the best way to think about it.
That I haven't heard that analogy before, but I like it. I like it makes sense. I know when we talked to Dr. Handler, he mentioned 20 to 30% of serious cases could be prevented with regular vet visits, and
Yes.
I think similarly, if you're checking on these key biomarkers, just like if you're looking at wearable data and you see hey, my dog's heart rate has been this and now all of a sudden it's spiked, or now all of a sudden it's a lot lower. Like, if you see those changes, something's going on, right? And I think what's very cool about what you've developed is that you have that baseline data. And I'd love to talk a little bit more about how you collected the baseline, to factor it in based on breed and size, and you know and would also love to get a sense of how you're handling it for mixed breeds, because obviously there's
Yep.
um, you know some variability there.
Yep.
Infinite uh, permutations and combinations, but it is giving you that actionable insights of, okay, this is elevated or this is low, or not just telling you whether you're in a normal range, but steps that you can take, whether it's going to the vet or modifying diet based on the findings, and helping
Yeah.
pet parents understand what not only what the results mean, but what should I do about it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And in terms of how we handle the data, we handle like as if it was human data, right? Animal data is not as regulated, but I think it will get there eventually. So we're just starting and treating your data as if it was human data. We separate it from yours and it's completely anonymous. And what we do is we want to treat your dog as a unique animal. So as you do a test, we log the time series data. So like if your dog's levels are like stable around the range, that gets redefined as your dog's unique baseline. And then we can start seeing trends over time, like, hey, month over month, your dog's inflammation or stress levels are going up. Where's this leading to? And then are there other animals that we've seen similar trends? There's like, hey, this other dog that's similar to yours had this exact same trend. Can we use that information to kind of anticipate what's happening with your dog? So, but we need more data. We need more people testing. We need more dogs. We need more samples. We don't have any service animals in our database. Like imagine the stress level of a police dog. Their baseline is going to be a lot higher than Cora, who gets to sleep on the sofa. She works at a startup, so she's pretty stressed. But a little dog that gets to stay at home all day, they're gonna have low stress levels. But a dog that works in the field or a farm, they're gonna have different baselines. And we just need to grow our data by people using our product.
So, did you have a larger database that you had access to when you were kind of creating your baseline levels, or have you been built? Is your database just built on the tests that you've done so far?
Yeah. Yeah, so we've been collecting samples from dog parks and communities and people just giving us samples to process and analyze, and then a ton of research and a lot of saliva analysis, salimetrics has been around for a while, but it picked up a lot after COVID. because it's just a great medium to use for health monitoring in animals and humans. So there's tons of paper out there that have done a lot of studies with different breeds, beagles, and all sorts of pools. And we use that data as our baseline, and then as we collect data, we're growing our data repository.
So say, and I can't, I know I signed up to be an alpha tester, and I'm anxiously awaiting the chance to try it when you open up your next round. But so Peony, she's a lab mix. She's about 70 pounds. When I do that first test, what are you comparing her sample to on that first one before she establishes her own unique
Yeah.
her baseline?
Yeah, so if we have enough data related to your dog, because imagine you come to us with a really weird breed that we don't have a lot of data on, we'll start you on the generic baseline of most common large breed dogs. So we can segment you by large breed, the weight, the age, female, male, are you neutered or spaded? We'll factor all of that in. If we have enough data that's very similar to your dog, we'll use that as the baseline. If not, we'll set you to the default, and then as you do tests, we can make it unique to your dog.
You mentioned it's $40 a test if you're testing quarterly. How low can you, I know you said you probably shouldn't be testing daily. That might be a little overkill, but how low
Yeah.
can you get the cost per test down if you're testing daily or weekly? How does that vary?
Yeah, so truthfully speaking, I don't think we'll be able to get it under $20 per test until we have like really good volume and unit economics. These are very expensive tests to make, so our margins
Mm-hmm.
aren't superb if we go down to a very low price point. But we'll get there. I think $25 is the lowest we'll be able to get to in the next year or two. But as you know, the more people that use our product, the more data we get, the more dogs we can help, and then the lower the cost of the product.
Very cool. Very cool. I mean, and and if you think about it, okay, you're paying $25 a week, or maybe if you're doing it monthly, it's something like $30 a month.
30, 35, yeah.
Um, you know, versus, a vet visit is, in most places now approaching $100 a visit. So how,
Minimum.
being able, and I was sharing with you before the show. I mean, I've always had Peony on pet insurance, and costs of care are rising. And
Completely.
my when I got her 8 years ago, it was $29 a month for pet insurance. She's 10 now, so obviously there's increases as they get older, but it was $80 a month last year. And when her policy renews in 10 days, it's going to go to 160 a month. So there's definitely cost of care is increasing, and
Yeah.
giving people that even if they have good access to veterinary care, giving pet parents that opportunity to monitor at a lower cost at home where your pet's less stressed, I think is really important. I'd be curious, have you explored, from a distribution perspective? Obviously, you're focused on the D2C spectrum right now. I know you've got signups for people who want to, take advantage and get a device and strips when you launch at the end of Q2. And we'll make sure to provide that link and where people can go to find that. But in terms of other distribution models, have you explored partnerships at all with televet providers or with pet insurance companies? I could see, from a pet insurance perspective, the data sharing could be a huge, opportunity for you guys. And hey, if you're maybe they would subsidize the cost of strips because it might, prevent a vet visit that they would then have to reimburse
Yep.
for, included as part of a wellness plan or something like that. And I know a lot of pet insurance companies have partnerships with televet providers, and if you can get them on board with, you know, providing access for pet parents to call in and discuss those results without going to a clinic, that can be uh, you know, I think a way to enhance your the efficacy of the product as well.
Yeah, completely. And the cost of care is astronomical and it's just going up, right? Inflation doesn't help and the cost of the vet is extremely expensive. But you have to, if that's what your dog needs to, you have to. And it's terrifying because some people can't afford it and then you go into debt. I'm in debt because of Cora. Like we just got a approved for $1,000 reimbursement by our insurer, which is, thank God, because that's gonna help, but it's expensive. And unfortunately, I will never claim that we're gonna save you any money, right? Like this is not going to lower the cost of care if the dog needs it. What we're trying to help you do is catch things earlier because it could be the difference between a $300 antibiotic or a $30,000 surgery if you wait 2 more months. Like how quickly can you react to something and how early can you catch it? And then the peace of mind that you're doing the right thing for your pet, right? So we're almost a feel good product, but we're focused on the animal. Like it's gonna be pretty sucky for you, but like this is what your animal needs. There's a great article on the Financial Times by Mark Elwood that was looking at the trends in the industry and how there's a ton of products out there that are making pet owners feel better but aren't actually helping the animal. And that is a big concern, right? Like at the end of the day, we might not save you money, but we're helping the animal. And that's our number one priority. In terms of distributions, we absolutely have our waitlist on our website. That's at pronovapets.com, where you can sign up to join the waitlist, and we'll let you know when we're ready to start shipping out product. But in terms of distributions, we haven't officially discussed anything with those kind of channels. We're talking to a lot of companies, supplements and diet companies, where our product can tell you, hey, your dog has a kidney issue. Here's a science backed, like we're only going to work with products that are science backed and have the proof to show that they actually work. Here's a diet that's going to help your dog's kidney. And we can start recommending you what are products out there that are good because there's a lot of bloat in terms of diets and different nutrition sources for your animal that aren't really backed by science. So we want to help you make the right decisions for your pet based on what they need, based on what their body needs. In terms of telehealth, a ton of synergies there. Also with insurance companies, we just need to talk to the right people.
Yeah, no, and great point on the supplements companies, and probably even nutrition manufacturers as well, because you can see the effects of switching your pet onto this diet, and how how is that affecting their biomarkers. Yeah, huge. I would think you probably down the road, particularly as you're able to create more panels. If you have certain functional diets or supplements that are targeting specific ailments, or you know, you can come up with panels that can demonstrate to pet parents the efficacy and the results that they're getting from switching to a certain food or supplement. Um, so yeah, that's very exciting. I think that would be cool. Because we hear, and there's no reason to doubt it. I mean, there's scientifically published papers, but you talk about, okay, the benefits of a raw diet or a freeze-dried
Mhm.
diet, and the added nutrient availability and greater nutrient absorption from minimally processed foods. Okay, yeah, and you can I think in a lot of cases you can see it. You can see the added energy levels. You can see the weight loss. There's lots of things that pass the eye test, but to be able to say, and in addition to that, we can actually, start testing now and see the results, after you've had
Track
your
it.
pet on this diet for a couple months. Um, that's particularly powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of our use cases for our technology is like I want to help people be preventative and proactive. That's my overall goal and vision and mission. Like that's just don't wait for things to go wrong. Like let's figure things out beforehand. The other application of the technology is let's say you have an animal that has a current issue. Instead of having to go to the vet for blood work once a week, once every 2, 3, 4 weeks, if the vet agrees and supports it, can we have a test like this that allows you to just keep tabs on your pet's improvement over time? And because Cora had a vasculititis episode where her body started attacking her own immune system, like her blood vessels were popping. It was terrifying. We almost lost her. And she had to go to the ER for 3 days. And then afterwards, she was put on this steroid that was incredibly strong. And it made her feel horrible and they're like, hey, we don't know when the levels are going to go back to normal, so you need to do 14 days of this steroid, even if it's already like cured. And like the last 5, 6 days where she couldn't walk properly, she would like leak urine in the apartment, she was having a miserable time. And that was just to combat the inflammation. So if I could track her inflammation at home and see this going back to normal levels, can I wear her off the last 5, 6 days that she might not need it, or see that she does need every single day? There's so many ways that we can use at home health monitoring to just give our pets better lives.
Yeah. And a lot less invasive and probably a lot less stressful, I mean, no, I love my vet, but I know when, you know, Beanie goes in, half the time it's just a happy visit and she's
Yeah.
getting treats and, there's no blood work or, any invasive or, stressful procedures, but some of the time there is. And I know you know, she's gotten used to it enough, but I don't think there's any vet's office where animals are completely comfortable. I mean,
Yes.
we talked about it with Christy Long at Modern Animal. I mean, that's a big part of their model is the aesthetic of the clinic, making sure that it's a place where the animals can be comfortable. But
Yes.
at the same time, they focus a lot on televet because I think everybody realizes your pet is most comfortable at home.
Yeah.
And especially, and we're both dog dads here, dog parents, but it's even worse for cats. So,
Oh,
do you have
yes.
plans to expand into the cat spectrum in the
Yeah.
future, or
The short answer is yes. It gets a little complicated as to how do you swap a cat, have fun swapping a cat and getting saliva from them. So horses are probably next for us, just because horses also need a lot of support. But cats for sure, we'll figure it out. The technology can be made tiny, so you would need very little amounts of saliva. It's going to take a lot of R&D, but it absolutely can be done. This technology works on humans, right? All you need to do is change the dog antibody to a cat feline antibody or human antibody. It's the same application. It's just, we'll have to develop it, but absolutely.
very cool. Yeah, no, I think I was psyched when I saw it. I think it's I've always been a fan of at-home diagnostics, and I know there is some inherent dissonance because vets make money running diagnostics in clinic. But I think at the end of the day, the goal is to keep pets happier, healthier, help vets catch issues earlier, and I'd just be curious, Jaime, how many vets are kind of buying into that idea, like, hey, I might actually get more visits because this is going to help catch things earlier. Um, and, we're going to go, maybe get people, the more people into the vet more than once a year. And I think the stats I saw, only 40 to 50% of pet owners even take their pet into the vet once a year.
Yeah.
So I just, I'd be curious. I would think, I would hope anyway, you would see vets kind of championing this and,
Yeah.
telling their clients and,
Absolutely. Vets are incredibly important to us, right? Not only because you need an expert getting their hands on the animal to see what's wrong, but their support means everything to us. So we'll continue working with vets and making sure data is published and they support it and keeping them involved because we need to support them at the end of the day. They're the best people that can take care of our animals. What we're seeing is a lot of the trends, especially in the pet owner side, pre-COVID, are radically changing, right? So especially younger generations want to be more educated, more empowered, doing their research. They don't want to go to the vet anymore and have no clue as to what's going on. They're going to start like researching like what's going on and what the vet tells them. So we're seeing a lot of hope from pet owners that want to take more responsibility and be more involved and more aware and more educated to give their pets a better life. And that's where we're hoping we'll continue to move towards.
yeah. What's been the response? I know you've got your alpha test going on. You've got the wait list that you mentioned at pronovapets.com.
Hmm.
You can sign up and get a device and strips when they come out the end of Q2. What's the wait list looking like right now? How many people have you seen sign up? What kind of numbers are we working with here?
Yeah, so on the alpha testers, we have 30 people that signed up, and then on the wait list, I think we're just under 100, I think around 80 people that signed up on the wait list. I need to double check the numbers. But that's where we're at as of now. So a ton of support, and we're looking for more people to show their interest and their support, to show our investors and advisors that people care about their pets, right? So if you care about your pet and you see yourself checking in on their health and being more hands-on and more educated and more empowered, we want to hear your support, because we can use that to push our company faster and help you more, right? So the more support you give us, the better we'll be able to support you.
Absolutely. Any cool success stories from the alpha testers so far of, where it's caught something and helped mitigate a condition or gotten a pet into the vet earlier?
No, not yet. What they've been doing is ripping us apart. It's like, hey, I don't like how this is formatted, or this doesn't make sense. This isn't intuitive. Fix this. So they've been grilling us on feedback, which is exactly what we asked for. I told them at the beginning, is like, please do not hold back your punches. Like, we need to refine this as much as possible so that it's the most pleasant and most encouraging user experience, because it's a complicated test, right? Like, it's a COVID test. You swab the dog, you mix it with the liquid, you have to do things properly, and it's a bonding opportunity with your dog, right? Like, this is not a here's a camera looking at your dog and it's going to do everything for you. You're interacting with the animal and you're getting closer to them. So it's we really care about the user experience, both for you and for the dog. We don't want you swabbing your dog for 10 minutes like they do in research. We're making it as comfortable, as fear-free as possible for both you and the animal. So that's what we're asking our alpha testers on feedback for, is how do we make this the best product possible? And they've been grilling us, which is great.
Very good. So by the time people get it shipped to them at the end of Q2, and they're going to be getting a top flight product beyond what you've already developed.
Yeah,
And I think you said when we talked at Pet Connect, it's as simple as I brush Peony's teeth daily, and the little finger brush. If you can do that to your dog, you can
exactly.
probably um, very cool. And I'm assuming you're just seeing normal levels from the group of alpha testers so far. Are you
Yeah,
seeing any?
everything's normal. Everything's normal. What happened once with when I mentioned the vasculititis episode that Cora had, we detected that. So we I was taking Cora's sample like every other day, because we were just using it for development, right? Like, she's part of the startup. She's going to contribute to rent somehow. So I would take her saliva, take it to the lab, and we would test, and it would always be like the same band, like very close to each other, very little variance, because that was her baseline. And the day that she was acting weird and didn't eat the bacon, I was like, okay, this is way too weird. Not once have you ever turned down bacon if you weren't feeling right. I took a sample from her. That night we had to go to the ER because I took a sample when she looked normal, but this developed so quickly that by 1 in the morning we were in the ER. So I didn't get the sample analyzed beforehand. But when I took it to the lab for analysis, we detected extremely high inflammation and extremely high stress, which is exactly what you would see for vasculititis. The blood vessels are inflamed and popping, CRP for inflammation, and she was in pain. So cortisol for stress was elevated. So I've got this great case study where I show Cora's baseline over, 10 tests, and this huge spike the day of the incident, where the sample told us there was something wrong before I could see it.
And at that point, you didn't have the at-home device
No.
developed, so
We had the technology developed in the lab, but we were doing all the analysis in the lab.
but so assuming you did the test on Cora in the morning, and by
Yeah.
1 a.m. that night you're going to the ER. If you had been able to analyze the sample at home, you could have been at
Yeah.
your regular vet that day instead of going to the ER that night.
Yeah, and I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it right now, because so the way it happened, it was in the morning, she was fine. Lunchtime, she didn't want to eat the bacon. At like 8 or 9 p.m., she was like looking weird. Her paws were getting inflamed. She had red patches. She has sensitive skin, so she sometimes gets rashes. So it looked like rashes, like, oh, this is weird. But it didn't look quite right. So we're like, okay, let's see how she does through the night. Let's go to the vet first thing in the morning. It was, 11 p.m. at night. We got off the sofa from watching a movie. We were gonna go to bed. We called Cora to the bed, and she couldn't get up. And we're like, holy crap! Like, she can't stand up. Like, we need to go. So we got her in an Uber and we ran to the ER. If we had gone to sleep, or if we had fallen asleep on the sofa, she would have been dead in the morning. So it's yeah, goosebumps everywhere. No, great. So there's stuff like that. It's like why things like that happen. We wouldn't have known. She had red bumps and she looked weird. It would look like a rash. Go to bed. Wake up in the morning. Go to the vet. But she would have been dead. So that's the one of the use cases where we hope if something's wrong, do the test. Let's see if something's wrong and like get to the vet sooner instead of waiting and putting the animal through pain and risk.
Yeah. Wow. That, yeah. I tried to take Penny to the emergency vet once, but she was vomiting like 8 times in the span of an hour, so it wasn't really much of a question
Yeah.
whether she
Yeah.
was going or not. It
Yeah.
was,
And things
it
like
was
that, go to the vet, right? Like the as a disclaimer almost, if you think something's wrong with your dog, go to the vet. No questions asked, right? Better pay a little bit of money than pay the price of your dog's life. The all the other times where you're hesitant to go to the vet, you don't know if it's worth it, or you kind of know they're just going to charge you $300 for a test when all it was is just she just coughing on something that she licked off the floor. All of those times where you're hesitant, but then you go to bed and you're like, oh crap, should I really go to the vet or is she fine? And you're just rolling the dice. You're hoping it's not serious. And that's just no way of taking care of the animal, and that's no way to go to sleep. It's you have no peace of mind. Whereas with a technology like this, at least do the test, check, make sure they're okay, then you can keep going. And if something looks weird, even if the test says it's everything's okay, if you don't think so, go to the vet. It's always better to be safe than sorry.
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. Now, like you said, there's no replacement for medical care. We're not we're not veterinarians, we're not doctors. We need medical professionals to keep us healthy and to keep our
Yes.
pets healthy. But um, like you said, it doesn't mean we can't have things that help our or our partners in health out. Help our
Mm-hmm.
doctors and veterinarians out, and that give you a little bit more peace of mind, and um, you know, can help to catch something before it gets serious, right? And that, along with all the other use cases, I think you've got a phenomenal device here. Um, Again, one more time, if folks are interested, pronovapets.com, you can go and sign up for the wait list there. And I'll be anxiously awaiting the round two of alpha testing, and thank you for inviting me to be part of the program. Peony and I are looking forward to trying it, and yeah, again, I'm super happy to have had the chance to meet you at Pet Connect, and glad we got to talk a little bit more about the device here on Petworking today.
Likewise, and thank you very much for your support and encouragement. I really do appreciate it. It's dog owners that show they want to do stuff like this that allows us to keep going. So the more people that speak up that they want to take better care of their pets, the better world we'll create for them.
That's what it's all about. On behalf of Jaime, everybody, I'm Peter Kenseth with Petworking. Appreciate you taking the time to join us today, and we will look forward to seeing you on another episode soon. Take care, everyone.
Thanks, everyone.